How's it going, everyone? This is George here, and today we are continuing the Marvel Black Panther series of reviews leading up to Black Panther Wakanda Forever with Black Panther, the 2018 film directed by Ryan Coogler, starring Chadwick Boseman, Lupita Nyong'o, Michael B. Jordan, Angela Bassett, Letitia Wright, Martin Freeman, and Andy Serkis. And this was the film that came out before Infinity War, after Captain America Civil War, and continues the story of T'Challa, aka the Black Panther, and how he becomes king and how he has to defend his throne from Killmonger, who turns out to be his cousin, who Michael B. Jordan plays. So this film was directed by Ryan Coogler, who before directing Black Panther directed Creed, the phenomenal Rocky spin-off, one of the best legacy sequels to have ever come out. And one of the things I loved about Creed was like the serious themes that it went with compared to the previous Rocky sequels that came out after the first Rocky film. Now, that's not to say that not all those Rocky sequels weren't serious in their own ways. Rocky 2 and Rocky Balboa were obviously serious films. But then you also had those like 80s fun films like Rocky 3 and Rocky 4. And Coogler, with his Creed spinoff, took that the franchise in a more serious but also phenomenal direction. And with Black Panther, you definitely get the vibe that this is one of the more serious MCU films. This feels pretty similar to the tone that the Russo brothers established, which is fitting because it was the Russo brothers' film Captain America Civil War that introduced T'Challa into the MCU. That's not to say that this movie doesn't have humor. There are some funny moments, and T'Challa's sister, Shuri, played by Letitia Wright, provides a lot of those humorous moments. But it's also humor that I feel like holds up pretty well. The thing when it comes to MCU humor is that it can either hold up very well, and it can just be funny the first maybe first two times you've seen the film, but once you get to the third time, it's no longer hilarious. With Black Panther, I feel like the humor is still hilarious no matter how many times you rewatch it. It fits pretty well. And to me, I feel like those are some of the best MCU movies. The ones that have the very good humor, but also know how to balance out with those very serious themes. And that's what Black Panther does. It has serious themes because Wakanda is essentially this country that's closed off from most of the world. And our villain, Killmonger, brings up a good point, even though you don't agree with how he's handling stuff, which is essentially, you have all this technology. Why aren't you helping people like us out there in the world that are having these problems? And it also like brings a good point to T'Challa, who is now dealing with the mistakes that previous kings have made, particularly the mistake his father made with Killmonger's father, how he killed Killmonger's father, and like how that basically created Killmonger. So I love how this is also a film that reflects on the decisions of past kings. And like there are some themes in here that you can say like are kind of similar to movies like, let's say, The Lion King or other MCU movies. But I feel like it takes those themes in different directions. Now, to me, I feel like the one time like this film does start getting into the MCU formula is more so the third act, when Killmonger essentially becomes a copy of Black Panther, and some of the typical like third act like final fight. But for most of the film, it does do something different from the other MCU movies overall that I feel like. And one of the things I've grown to appreciate with Black Panther, 4 years after it's came out, and why I feel like it's kind of elevated for me, is this feels like this is the last basically pure solo film in the MCU, or one of the last. And basically, what I mean is, it feels like a lot of solo films nowadays are crossover films. Other heroes are in other movies, other MCU characters are in other movies. And while this film does have like a couple of characters that were in previous MCU movies, Claw, played by Andy Serkis from Avengers Age of Ultron, Freeman's character from Captain America Civil War is also in this film, and he plays a bigger role. But but for the most part, it's still a Black Panther story. It feels like a Black Panther story that's contained essentially in the world of Black Panther, the Black Panther corner of the MCU. Most of the film takes place in Wakanda, and even when the film doesn't take place in Wakanda, it's still a Black Panther story. And in reality, the last like solo film in the MCU that we've gotten, like outside of maybe like Captain Marvel, Ant-Man and the Wasp, the only like pure solo film that I feel like we've gotten more recently has been Shang-Chi. So in reality, like this is one of the last few that we've gotten with Black Panther, and I really appreciate that they've were focused on telling this Black Panther story. Um, when it comes to performances, Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, he is phenomenal in this film. I've always enjoyed this character. This has been one of my favorite MCU characters, and he's a character that he's not arrogant, but like he like learns and understands like the mistakes that previous kings have made, and he's trying to fix those as the film goes on. He's growing wiser in this film. He's not as naive as he might have been like in the past. Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger to me is the best performance of this film. Michael B. Jordan has always been one of my favorite actors. I love him in the Creed films. And in this film, as Killmonger, he's one of the best MCU villains we've gotten. He's got clear motivations. You understand why he's doing the things that he does, why he's angry at Wakanda, why he wants to like use all this Wakanda technology for the rest of the world. And like even if you don't agree, and even though you don't agree with it, you still know it's wrong. You understand his frustration, why he's upset. Letitia Wright, she's very good as Shuri. Angela Bassett, Sid as T'Challa, and Shuri's mom is also really good. Forrest Whitaker is also in this film. He's phenomenal as well. The costume designs in Wakanda are phenomenal. They look really good. The design of Wakanda, how colorful, vibrant it is, they did a very good job with that as well. The special effects, most of the special effects I think are very good. There's a few that aren't that good. For example, the special effects with like Claw's hand, because obviously if you've seen Avengers Age of Ultron, you know that Ultron ripped out his basically cut his arm off, and he's got this like arm, this like robotic arm now. The special effects with that are kind of but for the most part, I do think the special effects in this film work out very well. Although I'm not crazy with like how the special effects kind of look in like the final battle when like T'Challa and Killmonger are going at it and they're falling. It kind of reminds me of Spider-Man 3 in a sense. Um, my other real concern with the film is like I said, the third act kind of gets into the stereotypical superhero final fight. Like I said, Killmonger becomes essentially a copy of like T'Challa when he's wearing the Black Panther suit. Even though I like the action is very good in this film, but it kind of just like started falling into that like stereotypical MCU film at the end when it kind of felt like it was doing everything else well and better than most MCU solo films at that point. And also, like I said, like there were some certain things that also reminded me of fights from like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. You have like a fight that obviously involves a train sequence, and again, like when they're falling, it like reminds me of Spider-Man 3 when like Spider-Man and Venom are falling and they're fighting. But overall, with Black Panther, I've always enjoyed this film, and I feel like this film has actually gotten better the more times I rewatched it. And that was even before Chadwick Boseman passed away. I know a lot of people might say, "Oh, has it gotten better because Chadwick passed away?" No, even before Chadwick Boseman passed away in 2020, the more times I rewatched this film, the more like I was appreciating it more and more. And especially at a time where the pure solo superhero films are are on the decline. And I'm not just talking about the MCU, even the DCEU, because if you're looking at some of the upcoming DCEU films, outside of Blue Beetle, a lot of the solo films that are coming out, while I'm excited for, they're also getting into crossover territory. Wonder Woman's supposed to be in Shazam Fury of the Gods. Uh, Both Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton's Batman are going to be in the Flash film, and Ben Affleck is going to be in Aquaman 2. So even in the DCEU, the pure solo films are starting to die out in that universe as well. So it's something that I just appreciate with comic book movies in general, not just the MCU. But overall, with Black Panther, I'm going to give this film an A. I have a great time with this. This is one of my favorite MCU films, and it's a film that continues to get better for me. And I'm looking forward to checking out Black Panther Wakanda Forever tomorrow as well. So, what are your thoughts on Black Panther? Did you love it? Did you hate it? And what's one of your favorite MCU solo films? For me, it's still Captain America: The Winter Soldier and the first Iron Man film. I don't want to consider Spider-Man No Way Home, even though I love that film, like a typical solo film, because like there's other Spider-Man in that film, and also Doctor Strange is in that film. But yeah, like as far as like pure solo superhero films, what's one of your favorites in the MCU? My favorite in general is probably The Dark Knight and Spider-Man 2. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe already if you haven't. Please share this with someone that loves the MCU, that's a big fan of Black Panther. And I hope to see you guys real soon. Take care, everyone.